Hey, welcome everyone to our workshop. This workshop is the second workshop in our series focused around SEO audits. In this workshop, we will be discussing how to run SEO audits in 5 minutes or less for your prospects or clients, what data to analyze, and how to leverage AI insights to be able to save you a ton of time when it comes to on-page SEO. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Perfect. I assume y'all can see my screen. Again, for those of you who don't know, my name is Clifford Almeida. I am the founder of My Web Audit. I am also the founder of an agency here in Phoenix, Arizona. So everything I am sharing on this workshop is practical and applicable to your business because it is practical and applicable and used in my business to grow our clientele. I started in this industry in 2000, and since then, we have grown our business to help serve, for the most part, 7- and 8-figure companies. And we do have a couple of smaller businesses that we support. So whether you use our strategies with small mom and pop businesses or larger companies, when it comes to SEO, this is applicable for the most part. Please understand that we're focusing on local SEO here. So if you're working with clients that are national or international, then this is probably not going to be as applicable to you, but the context and information on the audits still apply in a similar manner. All right. So again, quick overview. We have gone through the first workshop on how to build out an SEO audit offer or productized SEO local service offering that you can offer to businesses in workshop number 1. In this workshop, we're going to be running through generating an SEO audit and analyzing the key performance indicators that we look at for a business from the competitive side, as well as the customer or prospect's website, to identify if they're going to be a good client and potentially what are the roadblocks or opportunities there. And next week, we'll be discussing how we take that audit, present it to close the deal. And our last workshop will be a live Q&A in regards to how to execute on SEO. I'll probably get some SEO experts on as well for that call. Okay, so let's get started with key takeaways and reflections in my agency that I think is applicable to you, whether you're just starting out in SEO or you've been doing this for a while. All right. So the biggest mistakes that we oftentimes see in SEO and executing this, whether you're a freelancer or an agency, is that there is an aspect of over-promising, right? Most prospects or customers who come to us when they're looking for SEO, they're saying things like, hey, we would like to rank for this slew of keywords, or we would like to rank in all of these areas, right? But unless they have tremendous amount of content, backlinks, authority, it is really hard to do that. And so it's really a challenge oftentimes for those of us that are looking to close the deal or, really desperate for the revenue to say no. But that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because if you don't set the right expectations, it leads to disappointment, which then oftentimes leads to resentment and you getting fired or them just moving on, right, at some capacity. So overpromising is one of the things we highly recommend you not do, and I'll be covering how we solve that problem in our agency. The next problem is over-optimizing, right? This is taking things like the GBP and putting the location into the name or the primary keyword into the business name, trying to stuff content, keywords into the content, doing black hat techniques where something may work for a week, a month, maybe even you're lucky if it works for a year, right? And then all of a sudden you get completely penalized. What we'd seen recently with the adoption of AI was programmatic SEO without any human intervention, and then just creating messages and content. So that was an example of a recent black hat technique that was penalized a couple of weeks ago with the last update. Depending on when you watch this, it might be months from now, right? And then lastly, ultimately focusing on SEO services that don't drive ROI, right? So that is picking keywords intentionally or unintentionally that ultimately don't drive the right type of traffic to the website, ultimately not getting enough traffic gains where your customer is not getting enough leads or orders or customers. And then they say, hey, look, we've spent thousands of dollars and we're not getting any bump in revenue or leads. and ultimately we have to let you go. And so I'll also cover how our company measures, identifies ROI, and then reports on it in this report in just a couple of slides. All right, so things you definitely want to do is you want to take a data-driven approach. And what's really cool is obviously when you take a look at our audits, they give you the data. So you have a data-driven approach, right? And so I'll come back to that in just a minute. You want to be selective. Not every customer you or prospect you end up speaking to has a budget that is going to equivalent into being able to make an investment to drive results. Not every customer or prospect that you speak to is going to have realistic expectations, and maybe others just have an unrealistic budget for a competitive industry, and you just have to say, hey, look, this is not something that we can solve in the time frame you're expecting, right? And so understanding who is the right prospect or customer, that's again going to be for the most part driven by common sense, right? Are they pushy? Are they respectful? Do they respect and follow your process? Are they understanding what you're saying? Are they willing to work with you? Those are some, basic characteristics we're looking for with bringing someone on as a client. But then the other parts are going to be the data. What does the data say about their industry, their website, their competitors? And again, our audits will showcase that so we can identify ultimately who do we want to bring on, and then are we able to set realistic expectations that they can agree with. And then obviously we want to measure what matters, and when it comes to measuring, we will be talking about what that looks like from a competitive standpoint, as well as from ROI and KPI standpoint. Okay, so when it comes to analyzing what the opportunity looks like, our goal is to take a look at their on-page SEO. Okay, so with our report, when you run it in just a couple of minutes, you're able to identify the key elements that matter when it comes to on-page SEO, right? Meta tags, the URL structure, do they have schema in place? What image and content do they have? Ultimately, what is their mobile design, page speed, optimization opportunities, and then ultimately, are they able to be found on the search engine, and are they found on page one? Okay, and then you get an overall score that you can deep dive into here. And then the next set of metrics is going to be the competitive landscape, right? So in this case, this is our agency. We are ranked position number 4 for the term WordPress. I think it's WordPress web designer. Or in this case, this is for affordable SEO company Phoenix, but for WordPress web design, right? Or WordPress designer Phoenix, we also rank here position number 4. This allows me to take a look at the domain authority and links for the competitors. So in this case, I know Design Rush, obviously much larger directory, Upwork, much larger directory. I'm not going to be able to compete with them, but this URL here is to another agency in the Valley. And when we take a look at the domain authority versus mine, I'm able to then look at their content and say, hey, look, based off of this content, I'm not sure why they're ranking. There might be some other things that I'm not able to analyze right off the bat. But because I'm doing the on-page SEO audit, I can see what I've failed at, and I can solve these problems quickly. And with the AI Insights module that we've now released in early access, it'll actually give me tremendously more insights. And I'll jump into that in a minute. So when it comes to an opportunity analysis, we're looking at the on-page SEO. So we're looking at both optimization as well as content. We're taking a look at the domain authority of the website that we're looking to optimize, as well as the competitive landscape. And then lastly, we're also taking a look at the GBP opportunities, right? For us in our agency, and I think any local SEO agency, when they're doing local SEO, should be focused on GBP. And GBP, for the most part, Google Business Profile Optimization, offers the fastest opportunity to get more calls, foot in the door traffic if you happen to have a brick and mortar location that you're optimizing SEO for, as well as traffic directly correlated from a search intent to the GBP profile to the website, right? And so we are looking at that. I won't be covering the GBP opportunities because we did a whole workshop on that. So if you take a look at how to run a GBP audit on our YouTube channel, you'll find that video. I'll also link it to the workshop recording on our YouTube channel. Okay. So once we've done an opportunity analysis from an audit, we then bring them on. If we're bringing them on, we're looking at some KPIs that we want to measure. So we're asking them through an intake form or on a call with them, hey, what is a lead worth to you, right? And they might say, well, hey, I don't know how to value a lead. So I'll say to them, hey, think about it this way. How much money are you spending if you're doing paid ads to generate one lead? Or how much are you doing? How much money have you spent on SEO in the past, or for a sales team to generate a lead? And they might say something like, for example, in the drywall space, it's $50 to $75. In the kitchen remodel space, it may be $250 to $500 a lead, right? And generally, if you work with someone in that industry or in that space, they'll be able to tell you what they're spending on average to generate a lead. And that should be what you value a lead that you're generating for them as. And then ultimately, what is a sales worth for them, a sale worth for them, right? So again, in the drywall space, that might be worth anywhere from $500 to $1,000, or for a home painting, it might be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000, or if it's a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel, it may be worth anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000, right, or more. And the idea is to just be able to get an average number for a cost for a lead as well as a customer, so that you can calculate some information. We also want to ensure that we measure the clicks from a GBP profile to the website, or call from a GBP profile to the business. If they happen to be on the website, a click to call on the phone number when someone clicks on that or fills out a contact form, or on GBP drives over to the location, right? We want to measure that, and then we want to be able to report on it. The other things that are maybe not so correlated directly to revenue that we want to let them know is, hey, look, we were based off of the information we got on Google and from Google Analytics and your Google business profile, we're able to tell you that you're increasing your brand reputation, more people are seeing you, and ultimately, if they see you on social, they see you on Google, and then ultimately maybe on a billboard, that allows for more visibility and trust, and then ultimately the conversion into a lead or a customer. And then the last part is really important when it comes to measuring ROI, is obviously we want to do some sort of monthly reporting and also offer some sort of ROI calculator. And I'll cover both of those here in just a minute. When it comes to reporting, internally here in our agency, we have a sample report like this that goes out for the Google business profile insights, where we tell them you got these many calls, these are the number of clicks, and these are the directions requests for this profile. We've then not potentially, we've put a value of the perceived call value as well as a site visit, in essence, what they would have paid to get traffic from Google to the website if they're done paid ads. And then we are now able to show them that just from the Google business profile, this is the value of traffic generated. When it comes, this is another analytics report that we ran for one of our customers that we do SEO for. Here, we actually measure, we've set up custom goal conversions with Google Analytics and put a value around it. And so here we can see that the goal completions was 112, and that's usually for a call or a lead form submission, or a chat inquiry to a lead, and then a goal conversion rate of 10.5%, which is really, really high. And the average value that they got in potential leads was $30,000, right? And this is for a higher transaction value customer of ours, where the lead value here is 60,000. Now, this may not be the case for you. It may be 5,000 to 6,000 or 4,000 that you're driving for your customers, or 15 or 20 or 30,000. It just depends on the customer you're targeting. And that's why in the last workshop, I told you it's really important for you to try to target customers that have services that are higher value services, right? So for example, a kitchen remodel or a HVAC company versus a barber or a hair salon. Okay, so these are just reports that showcase, in essence, the ROI, as well as ensure that we measure the KPIs that we're talking about. Okay, so now let's kind of jump into what it looks like to really just generate an SEO audit in a matter of minutes. All right, what does it look like to run an audit, identifying the URL and the keywords? And next would be potentially what data and metrics we look at. I just kind of gave you a quick overview earlier about that. And then we will be covering what we call now AI growth insights, where we've taken the information from the audits, analyzed it with specific prompts we've created, leveraged machine learning and other crawling mechanisms to combine 2 to 3 hours of work in and condense it down into 10 to 15 minutes, right? Actually, 10 to 15 minutes of work our application does, and really just 2 or 3 minutes of work for you to do, and then analyze and present. Okay, and this is of tremendous value because if you are already doing on-page work and need to do all the data crunching, we now do that for you. You could offer this as a one-off service where you're like, hey, here's a report, let me do the Q&A, do it yourself, or you could charge $250 a page. To optimize, do a minimum of 4 pages. That's $1,000. You can run this report, get the insights in a matter of 15, 20 minutes or less, and then obviously spend an hour or 2 or 3 making the changes, and now you've generated $1,000 for a care plan client, or you can add this as a service for ongoing SEO that you can execute on. All right, I'll speak more on that in the next workshop. Again, the focus of this workshop here is to speak about the running aspect of the workshop, running aspect of the audit, and then what to look at in the audit. Again, for those of you that weren't in the last workshop, we talked about creating a funnel and an offer. For those of you that are on an annual plan with MyWeb Audit, if you're on the Pro plan, you get up to 2 funnels. The next funnel we're launching is a website funnel, and the funnel here is completely done for you. We've unlocked these emails here for anybody who wants to check out MyWeb Audit and drive some demand to an offer. But after that, we have everything from a landing page to a thank you page to ultimately a full VSL and then a complete offer for an on-page SEO audit or a complete 90-day productized SEO service that you can sell. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at how easy it is to run an audit. Let's just go ahead and click new audit here. I'm going to click this because we're running an SEO audit. I am going to run it for a new company, and let's just go ahead and go with Rebath. Okay, this is Rebath Kitchen and Remodeling. This is a local company. I really don't know who it is, so I am going to just, generally I'm doing this for a prospect or a customer, right? So this is Rebath. They are a kitchen remodel company, so I am going to go with bathroom. Oh, if I could spell it right. Remodel contractor. Right? And by the way, you should know generally what I would be doing is if I were to pick this for an existing prospect or customer, I would generally go to their website like I am right now. And once I go to it, I would then look to see what they have optimized their meta title for. Generally, that'll give me an idea. So this is kitchen and bathroom design. Now, I know personally, because I'm in this space, bathroom design is not something that is heavily used. Now, I could use tools like SEMrush, and we have projects that offer some keyword research as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and in this case, run with bathroom remodel contractor for this use case. If I had access to the analytics, I can actually connect to the profile and then pull insights from their Google Analytics to identify traffic, pages, things like that. I now am going to enable what we call AI insights. And here I'm going to say home owners. I'll just say actually Phoenix homeowners. I'll just leave that to homeowners, and it's a B2C model. I just click next. This allows us to identify the effective prompts to be able to analyze and get the right results. Is there an ROI analysis? I'm going to go ahead and go with yes. Let's say I was speaking to them on a call. I would ask them and say, hey, based on your analytics, can you tell me how many visits you have? And maybe they'll say something like, and I'm just going to throw this out there at 500. All right, this is actually a really well-renowned company. They have, I think, almost 1,000 reviews for their local GBP. So they're crushing it. And I'll just say from that, let's run with conservative numbers. And I'll keep it simple though. Let's run with, they get 5% leads. So that would equivalent to 25 leads. From those leads, let's just say only 50% of those leads are qualified leads. and that would equivalent to about 12 leads, give or take. And from those, they close, let's just say 30%. And the system will process what that looks like. Average lifetime customer, and I'm going to be very, very conservative here. And I'm just going to run with, let's just say they do budget bathroom remodels or kitchen remodels at 5,000. All right. It's going to
Clear
give.
for the question.
Yeah. Please hold the question till the end. All right.
Oh, sorry.
All right. No problem. So, at the end of generating this report, you'll get an ROI report, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So because we asked for the AI insights to be generated, what we do is we scrape the competition, get their information, and then parse that to our AI APIs and pass along with it several other pieces of data that are important to generate the AI insights. That ends up taking 10 to 15 or so minutes. So because of that, I'll try to come back depending on where we're at. Since we only did one page, it might be faster. But by the way, in that same area, and let me just go back to this. If you were editing that report or you were running another report, I wanted to make it clear that I did one keyword and one URL, but you can add as many as you want by just clicking the little plus button here. Not as many as you want, but you can do up to 10. Our recommendation is generally not to run more than 4, because when you're presenting it to a customer or a prospect, it can get overwhelming. Or they might say like, cool, so you're going to do this SEO for whatever, 800, 1,000, 2,000. You're going to get me onto page 1 to the top for all of these. And the answer is generally no, obviously, right? Because you have to identify the competitive landscape. You have to identify their opportunities, their domain authority, things like that. And so we recommend going with no more than 2 to 4 for a call with a prospect or a customer to get them acclimated. Again, the next presentation workshop, I'll cover that in a little bit more detail. Okay, so now when it comes to the actual report, what I'm looking for when it comes to, like, let's just say this page, if this was a prospect or customer, I would say that, hey, look, as far as content goes, this is pretty decent. There are some opportunities, and I'll show you what those opportunities look like once that report runs. But in this use case here, we're looking at our agency website page. I'm going to click on this just so you can kind of take a look at what our page looks like. So we have what is it? Why start? We have a call. We have the option to schedule a free consult. These are quick links to take you to different areas of the page. All right. And then we have a testimonial, related blogs, and then some FAQs. Okay. So this is what we've got in place. When we take a look at this, what our algorithm is going to ultimately do is analyze the competitive landscape, show us the areas that we've missed. These are things that are easy. And now when we talk about the AI recommendations, it's going to work as a chief marketing officer or AI digital consultant with a ton of local SEO expertise to come back and say, hey, you know what? Consider this title, consider this description. Again, I have to take this and contextually apply what I know, but I know that WordPress web design is an important keyword. Phoenix is the location I am optimizing for, right? Same thing with the description. You know that you see the word WordPress, you see design, and here it's looking for expert web design services. So it's kind of using some LSI to put in some alternative options in there. Then what it's going to do is give me ideas for the header and the header 1, header 2, header 3. And this is all, again, based off of analyzing the competitors to say, hey, this is what they're using. You should consider possibly doing that. What this also does is give me an opportunity to expand my content, right? It'll also look at the FAQs I have in place, as well as the competitors, and then run that against some AI algorithms to, again, say, hey, here are some other FAQs with the FAQ and the answer. I would then take it, customize it, and position it for how I want it to reflect in my agency, right? For our customers, again, we work with large 7 and 8-figure companies for the most part. And so when I am writing our content, it's usually for the IT director, the sales director, the marketing director, and very little is the use case for just a small business owner. All right. So again, positioning our FAQs to solve that problem for that persona matters. And then we look at page speed. Again, it is now looking at the competitors and then identifying where we are versus them. That helps. So we know if page speed is a problem. We are then also analyzing the data and then providing recommendations for schema markup. All you have to do is click on each one of these. It'll take you to schema.org, and it'll give you examples of how to position this on the website, right? So for those of you that don't know SEO or aren't experts or have a team member, you can literally now take this report and edit it as needed, pass it on to them, and they can fulfill it. Like if you're anything like me, where you have some freelancers or team members working, but you do a lot of the strategy work, this functionality and feature will now allow you to save yourself a whole bunch of time because it takes a lot of that and does it for you. And then you obviously can review it quickly in 15, 20 minutes, edit it, and then tell your team what to take action on. If you have a copywriter, you're using AI, or you do your own content, or your client does content, now you can actually take this. This is, again, you should plug in your own agency site and you'll get some ideas. But here it's now telling me based off of commercial intent or transactional intent, which is really what I want to focus on, because those are the type of customers or leads or visitors I want to track, right? Versus just informative people doing research. These are common keywords I should write content for, and potentially the number of times I should reference it without trying to be spammy. Again, we then also look at entities. Google is looking for authority and trust. And so subject area expertise matters. These are related entities, all right? So entities are going to be related subject matter that, if added to your content, can give you a broader narrative of being a subject area expert for that content, right? So when you think about WordPress web design or WordPress web developer, professional WordPress web design is important. Identifying WordPress security issues around themes and plugins, right? So this has gone through and given me a whole bunch of ideas of FAQs, content for the page, blogs I could write and link back to this page to build authority. Okay, other things that this audit will quickly do is scan the website and identify opportunities for pages with keywords they're already ranking for that you can run an audit for, or obviously continue to optimize on to get better results. Okay, so when it comes to this audit here, I'm showing you exactly what is included. When it comes to analyzing if my prospect or my customer is going to be a really, really good client for me to take on, right? Because of the opportunities I can deliver. What I'm looking for then is to identify what their domain authority is versus the competitors that are ranking for the keyword, what page authority they have for an existing page that's ranking, how many links they have, things like that are really, really important. And then when it comes to the GBP, I'm looking at the review count. I'm looking at how many citations they have, how many posts, potentially how much of the content that they're trying to rank for has been added to the website, to the web pages, right? Things like that. How many blogs have they put in place? If they happen to have relatively 10%, 20% up or down, then I know through content, I can generally build that up, do some optimization, and get them a competitive landscape. If, for example, their domain authority is 10, 15, 5, and the competitors are in the 30s or 40s, then I know that that's a long shot, right? And so I'm not putting any guarantees around it. I'm usually telling them the turnaround time is going to be 6 months to a year. But if, for example, they have a domain authority of 20 or 30, and most of the competitors that are ranking above or slightly below them are in the 5s, 10, and 15s, then I know with the right optimization and not as much effort in doing backlinking or creating a ton more content, I can actually get them results in 30, 60, 90 days, and with their GBP even faster, right? So these are the metrics I'm analyzing to be able to identify potentially if they are a great candidate, right? Like the on-page SEO that's being identified through my audit and the keyword. I'm then looking at the page content, looking at the domain authority, looking at the online competition and their domain authority and page content, and then the GBP opportunity. All right. This is how I am able to identify if they're going to be a great candidate. And then potentially that also allows me to have some room to possibly negotiate. If they say something like, hey, Cliff, we don't have $2,400 right now a month, or $2,500 or $2,000 to invest in an SEO plan, then I might say, well, hey, would you like to do a 90-day sprint for $3,000, $5,000, and or if they say I don't even have that, then I'll say something like, hey, look, let's just do a lower end SEO package for like $800 a month for the next 3 months, evaluate the results, and then potentially level up based off of the results. And again, depending on where the competitive landscape is, I have an idea of how much work and effort needs to be done. And so I can then determine potentially if they're going to be a great candidate or not, and then what that investment may look like. So I can ensure I'm not just trading dollars or time for dollars, right? I'm able to deliver that value. Now, give me just a second. Let me go back. Let me close out of this, go to the dashboard and see if that audit completed for Rebath. And I'll just quickly run you through that, right? So here you can see on-page report for Rebath. I'm going to go ahead and click view report. Okay, so what we can see here is overall meta tags are doing pretty good. Image and content has some opportunity there. Page speed, obviously, definitely an issue. Here's their domain authority. Like this would actually be a really great client for me to reach out to because their page authority is really, really high. Their domain is really low. And based off of the competitors here, you'll see that, like this let's see here, they're not even ranking for that keyword, right? So this would be actually a great person I would potentially approach and say, hey, look, I think just by restructuring your keywords on your homepage and some other things that we'd be able to get you better results. And when it comes to that, we'd obviously solve this. And then when it comes to the content, right, we're looking at these titles, we're looking at these header tags, and then potentially FAQs, schema markup, and this better content here. We could even probably create a separate page and have it rank better just with this information and their expertise in this area. All right. So, and then lastly, obviously the part I mentioned is data, right? So if I was speaking to a guy named John over there, I'd say something like, hey, John, look, your website's probably not ranking that great, but your GBP is driving most of your traffic. I know this because when we went through the GBP workshops, I covered this in an example there, right? The reason I haven't approached them, by the way, in real life is because I work with someone who's their competitor. And so because they're in the same service area, we don't work with two companies that compete in the same location for the same services. But potentially if someone reached out to them, right, they would be able to say something like, hey, look, based off of where you're at right now, you're generating about $18,000 in revenue. If we work with you on a paid ads campaign or SEO campaign, and we're just able to work on some website updates to increase your conversion rate by 1%. So from 5, we'll get it to 6, and we can increase your traffic organically or through paid, right? Depending on how we have that conversation with them, we can add this amount, and together we're adding potentially $10,500, and this is just a low baseline to start with. On an annual basis, that's $126,000. Now, it's much easier to sell an SEO plan for $800 a month or $2,000 a month, which ultimately becomes $9,600 or $24,000 a year, based off of being able to deliver this type of ROI, right? And then adding another maybe $10,000 or $20,000 to work on content and work on the website. And so this is how we run the reports. These are the elements we include in the report to be able to present. And again, the presentation workshop is next week, okay? So hopefully this has given you some insights into how we run audits, what we look for. And if you have enjoyed this, obviously you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/MyWebAudit. You can join a conversation where you can ask questions and get information from not just myself, but a group of other freelancers and agency owners that focus on SEO, web design, and paid ad services in our Facebook group. Again, I thank each of you for dreaming big, taking the time to consume this content. I highly recommend you set the goals, and goal setting for us here has been taking the emails that are offered in this funnel right here, building this 3-part series, sending it to your prospect and customers and people on your list, and then obviously taking action to follow up with them, get them to jump on a call, running the audit, presenting it to them, and closing a deal. Okay? I appreciate each one of you and your time. Thank you so much.